Finding a midwife for a home birth can be a very exciting but yet stressful process. I'm here to give you some advice or steps to take in order to find a midwife in Baltimore, Maryland. This may help you outside of Baltimore, but if you're in Baltimore, this will certainly help you. Welcome back, all my mommies and mommy-nistas. To all of you guys who are already subscribed, thank you so much for following my birth journey. I have some exciting news to share towards the end of the video. And to all of my new mommy-nistas, welcome, welcome. So happy to see you guys. I hope that you guys find this video informative, and I hope that you find it useful for your home birth journey. The first thing that I suggest that you do is make a list of preferences. Now remember, preferences are not non-negotiables. You want to have some things that are non-negotiable, but your whole entire list can't be full of non-negotiables. So what you want to do is make sure that you are flexible with your list, because you're not going to get every single thing off your list. If you do, that's great, but more than likely, you're not going to get everything off your list. So you want to make sure that you list some preferences, and I'll give you some examples. Some of my examples are that they have the same philosophy of childbirth as I do, that there's no more than $5,000 out-of-pocket expenses, and that they have over 10 years of experience in home birth, not necessarily birth or nursing. Okay, so my best advice to you guys is to just start early. Start using your network of people, midwives, nurses, doulas, birth assistants, friends who had babies at hospitals, friends who have babies at home. All of those resources are going to be super helpful for you. Use the powerful engine of word of mouth. Word of mouth is so powerful. Facebook groups, Google, Twitter, social media, simply putting up a post will help you. You want to treat choosing your midwife just like you are the CEO of your childbirthing experience and you're hiring someone to bring your baby earthside. And that's literally what you're doing. So you want to take it very serious, but not too serious, because you don't want to turn the midwife off. But you also want to make sure that you are very concise and clear about what you want and some of the things that you may desire for a home birth. So I would, again, make a list of questions specific to the midwife for a home birth. I have a few questions that you can ask as it relates to interviewing a midwife for home birth, and I'll give you those in a second. My first two questions are always usually, why did you become a midwife? How many children do you have? And how much experience do you have? Most of the time that question is answered with no problems. If someone has a problem with answering that question, it kind of raises a red flag for me. Those three questions are pretty general. The why do you have kids or not question may be invasive, but for me, it's a really important question because I want to know what experience are you coming from personally, because home birth is such a personal experience. My next series of questions is about money. Do you take insurance? If you do, what insurance do you take? How much is this going to cost? Are there any additional out-of-pocket expenses? Some midwives offer like a birthing kit that you have to purchase. Sometimes you have to purchase your own tub or rent your tub from the midwife. Some midwives may be able to offer gas for you while you are in labor, and just other little knick-knack things. So you want to make sure that you're asking everything up front so you're not surprised in the long run. The next series of questions would be, what does the prenatal and postnatal care look like? How many times will I be visiting you? How will I be visiting you? After I have the baby, how long will you stay? Will you come back to check on me? Will I be able to call you? If so, how long out will I be able to call you? Because some people like after the first 2 weeks, you're pretty much on your own, or after the first 6 weeks, you're pretty much on your own. It all depends. So you want to make sure that you get the care plan in order and make sure that it's aligned with your life, what you want. And if you want to see something different or something change, now is the time to kind of talk about it. The next questions would be, do you work with the hospital in case there's a need for a transfer? Do you have a backup midwife in case there is an emergency that occurs that you can't be there? Do you work with any doulas, apprentices, or birthing coaches, because they're going to be in your space where you're giving birth? So knowing the answers to those questions is really important. One, because for me, I bring my own doula. I'm using my doula for my first birth and my second birth. So if she doesn't want to work with, the doula that I'm bringing, then that makes a difference. If she has a team that she already works with and feel most comfortable with, I would like to meet them in advance to see if that's how I feel about it. Overall, you just want to make sure that you're asking those questions about hospitals and connections, because if there is a need for a transfer, if for some reason the midwife can't see you anymore, you want to make sure that you iron those things out early. Next series of questions is, do you have a limitation on companionship? I know that sounds like a question that you probably should ask further down the line, but it's not. I mean, I know one of the first conversations I had with my friends when they were expecting was, who's going to be in the room when you have the baby? With my son, about 15 people were in the room and about 6 people were on the phone, FaceTiming the experience and or recording it. And that was really important to me. I needed to be surrounded by strong women who had done this before. In addition to that, if there are unforeseen circumstances or an emergency, what is going to be your steps or protocols? That's something that I want to know early in advance. A part of the interview, I want to make sure you're prepared for it. How you answer that question really matters to me. The last series of questions is, what kind of pediatrician care do you offer to the baby? Because there are some routine tests that that are typically offered in the hospital, and the midwife may be able to do some of those from home, or come back the next day and do them, or have a network of people that she works with who can do them. So you want to make sure that you ask that question. Also, I like to ask, do you have any relationships with any pediatricians? Because it's always good to work with a pediatrician that previously worked with your midwife. Having those relationships with like the doulas, the hospitals, the birthing centers, all of those relationships are really important. It one speaks to the character of the person who's delivering your baby, and then it also speaks to their experience, and it also gives you an idea of how flexible the person is and how big their network is as it relates to your care in case you have to see a hospital or doctor, and when your child has to see the pediatrician. And then the last but most important question would be, do you have any questions for me? It's always a turnoff for me if the person doesn't have questions for me or about me. As the patient, I know that these questions, it's like 10 to 15 questions, can be extremely intimidating to a midwife. But at this point, for a home birth, I mean, I feel like they're really necessary and really appropriate, especially like the financial and comfort measures questions. But overall, I think that's a very well-rounded list. It's not overwhelming. It's not too stacked. Sometimes it's not what you say, but how you say it. So when you're interviewing your midwife, just remember, be polite. This person could possibly be delivering your baby. You want to make a great first impression, and they should want to make a great first impression with you. So let me give you guys an update on my journey. I interviewed 5 midwives over the phone because it is the middle of the pandemic. This was way back between April and May. I had a lot of downtime, so I was really able to do my research and find some midwives, many that met a lot of my preferences, but most of them were referred by friends of friends. We were actually able to narrow it down to 2 midwives, one who was still practicing outside of their office and another one who was freelancing, so to speak, and doing home appointments. And we finally made a decision on our midwife, and it has been an amazing experience so far, given the fact that we are pregnant. I'm about 6 weeks, and we're super excited, blessed, and happy because everything's going just as I planned. I got pregnant somewhere around July 8th and the 11th. And just as I planned, my O day was July 10th. I am feeling very different from my first pregnancy, but I'm going to share more about that in my next video. And I'm just so happy. I'm feeling good. I'm glowing. God has been so good to us. And I want to tell you more about my midwife, just so you guys can get an idea of the process I went through. Like I said, I started with, I narrowed it down to about 5 midwives, and then I narrowed it down to about 2. The deciding factor for me between the 2 midwives was the experience. The woman that we chose has 25 years of experience in home births. I mean, you just can't, I just couldn't pass up on that. And she had little to no births around my due date time. You know, we're manifesting somewhere before April 10th, between April 2nd and 10th. I'm going to probably manifest a date sooner. I mean, in my later videos, just as proof that you can speak anything into existence. But for the most part, she's great. I actually won't see her until I'm 12 weeks. She recommended that I wait until I'm 12 weeks so that I could hear the heartbeat, just so she can just do an overall profile on me. She was really like, it's no point in us meeting before 12 weeks. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wait until I'm 12 weeks pregnant, and then I'll give you guys an update on my pregnancy. Thank you so much for following our journey and being a part of it. This is going to be super exciting. And if you were here with me since the beginning, then you know just how exciting this is. Okay. Thank you so much for watching my video. Make sure you like and subscribe. Oh, definitely comment below so we can start a conversation about how to choose a midwife. If you're in the Baltimore area, DMV, you really need some advice, I got you. I have a network of people. If you're not in the area, I'm sure I know someone who knows someone who knows someone. So yeah, let's just chit chat. Bye.